welcome to tonight's Canlis Community College class, Sippin' and Double Dippin'. Oh, we're over here now. I'm Marin. I've never done this before, obviously. You don't know me. Yeah, I am an 8-year Canlis employee. I started as a kitchen server here. I worked my way up, back server, lead server. I am now the private dining coordinator and an executive team member here at Canlis. During COVID, I've had some other jobs like burger order taker, route maker at home delivery. I moonlighted on the bingo show. Maybe some of you know me from there. Huge cameo on the bingo show. I was lunch hostess at the Crab Shack. And now we're here. We're here with some new friends. These are Jeremiah and Kaylee.
I'm Jeremiah.
Yes, they are with Seattle Candle Company, who we are partnering with tonight for our class. Yeah, Jeremiah, tell us about your company. Tell us how you two met. Tell us about you.
So yeah, our company is Seattle Candle Company, and we started making candles about 5 years ago. Currently, we retail out of Pike Place Market, and my partner and my wife is Kaylee. We met at a restaurant as well. Actually, a local Seattle favorite, Red Robin. We both started working there together, and that's how we met. And now, 15 years later, we're here and we're making candles at Canlis.
Where did you first make candles, though?
That's a good question. The first place we made candles would be, so we decided when we were broke and living in a Belltown studio apartment that for 1 year for Christmas, for all of our friends and family, we're going to make crafts for our gifts. And candles were going to be that craft. And that was about 10 years ago. And so we made those gifts and people loved them. And we occasionally kept up making the candles for gifts. And then after a few years, we decided to go ahead and try it as a side hustle. And here we are 5 years later.
Yeah. Our candles have much improved.
Yes.
Since our Belltown
Yes. By the way, they're way better now.
They've gotten a little bit better.
Yes.
Kaylee is on chat tonight, which is super, super helpful. So if y'all have questions about candles, she can probably also answer fondue questions. She's very prolific with the melted things. Yeah.
Kaylee's originally from Wisconsin, so cheese is right up her alley.
Master.
And I like it too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna melt multiple things tonight. It's cold out. It's wintry. It's post-election. We just want to chill.
Get cozy.
Get cozy. What I love about both these things that I discovered when we were talking about them is anybody can do this. So candle making is super approachable. Your kids can do it. Partners. You and your cat at home. It seems like it's very approachable, which is super fun for something like this where I'm learning alongside all of you. So should we take them through the kit? Should we show?
Absolutely.
Some of you got the kit and some of you didn't. And if you didn't, we'll show you everything that you need to maybe acquire later. After the fact, because you can always watch these classes when we're done. So
start your double boiler.
Oh yeah, we're gonna start. Yeah, let's start by going through all the snacks and stuff we can get to a little bit later. But since we want to start melting wax, let's take them through what. Sorry, I got a little close. Take them through what we sent them for candle making.
Yeah. So the first element we're going to talk about is going to be the wax, and along with the wax, let's go ahead and start our double boilers. You can start your double boilers at home as well. And a double boiler is essentially going to be a pot of water that you're going to bring to a boil, but not to a rolling boil, because you don't want it to boil over the sides. And then your second part of it is just going to be a dish or a pot you put on top that you can put the wax into.
Do we need to be concerned about the wax ruining whatever we use as a double boiler?
Fortunately, this kind of wax, so if you are using your own kind of wax at home, beeswax is going to be difficult to clean out. Paraffin also provides its own kind of problems, but soy wax cleans out with soap and water or any type of alcohol cleaner.
Cool.
And this wax is Golden Wax 464, which is a 100% soy wax, along with a soy wax additive that makes it a little bit easier to melt and blend, and also allows you to pour it at slightly hotter temperatures than you would be able to do just a typical soy wax.
Okay. So we got a lot of wax. I think it's about 6 cups, right? So whatever you use, make sure it can hold that amount. And then we need to keep an eye on the temperature. Is that right? And if y'all are following along, the directions they provided are also very helpful because we all might be at a little bit different spots in our candle making tonight. Is that right? Can you?
Yeah, so I mean, depending on where you're at and what type of instruments you're using.
Your burner, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so you could be using, 2 pots, and you're going to have steam coming out the side, so make sure you're careful with that. You're not burning yourself. We here have a little towel we're going to use to handle one part of our double boiler here to make sure we're not burning ourselves. And you will want to get it pretty hot because the wax will take a little while to melt in this double boiler. But you do want to use this candy thermometer, which we've included in your kits, to make sure the wax doesn't get above try to keep it below 200 degrees while you're melting, and really 175 is going to be the primo area to be at to get it ready to add fragrance to.
Cool.
Wasn't there a story about what you originally started making when you guys first started making candles? It was like in a little fryer or something,
Yeah.
Literally, you can melt it in anything you want.
Literally, you can melt in anything you want. So just your normal little fry daddy you find at home, this little fryer, as long as you're watching the temperature, you can melt it in one of those without using a double boiler system. Cool. Just want to be very careful that you don't scorch the wax. The wax will start to smoke if it gets to a certain temperature.
And that will that damage it, or it'll just smell like smoke when you make your candle?
Yeah, and it will damage it a little bit. It'll make it, it'll burn differently once it actually finally cools and becomes a candle if you have heated it too hot of a temperature.
Cool. All right. What else did we give them in their kit?
So the wax, the candy thermometer, we also have fragrance here. This is going to be grapefruit and mint fragrance.
Ooh.
We have little stickers for you to label your candles with afterwards. We have the wicks here, which are going to be affixed to these tumblers with these little wick stickers. And then when we're all said and done and we're ready to straighten the wicks, after the wax has been poured and the fragrance has been mixed, we use these chopsticks across the top of these tumblers to affix the wicks.
Cool. So don't separate your
chopsticks
keep
and
the
use
chopsticks
them for
together.
Dinner
Tonight. Yeah.
Keep the chopsticks together.
That is not for fondue.
No.
The chopsticks are not an eating utensil tonight.
Yes, we should have clarified.
I saw them and immediately wanted to pull them apart. Awesome. Okay, so we're getting our wax melty. I think we should talk about our snacks. The first word of this class is sippin', so I hope you're all sippin'.
I am.
You are.
Yeah.
I am. Kaylee is. We're gonna talk about wine and snacks in a second because I also want to get our fondue melted as well, which will take, I think, a little minute of time along with our wax. So we have our raclette fondue. We love raclette here at Canlis Restaurant. We use raclette a lot. We've used raclette in our past and we'll use it in our future. So we really, really like raclette cheese. It's delicious. It's really good for melting cheese. And
Maren, did I just hear you say that you're making secret plans for the future?
Maybe.
A lot of people drove by and picked up kits today. They were wondering
a
what was
lot of
happening.
people did drive by
in the
and
parking
saw
lot.
some drama in our parking lot.
We're not talking about it, but
No.
we're talking about raclette.
We're talking about raclette right now.
Okay.
And this raclette is not like a proprietary recipe to Canlis. There's tons of raclette recipes out there. It includes shallot, wine, obviously cheese, and herbs is what Chef Brady told me ours it has tonight. So if you want to make your own raclette someday, you can easily look it up and find out. So I just put our raclette here in this pan. I'm gonna do your ingredient card calls for a 1/4 cup of water to add in to mix in with your cheese while you heat it up. And the great thing about that, I'm gonna go up here, is you can't do too much water, which is really great. So don't worry if you accidentally dump in a bunch more or not quite as much. It'll just kind of make your raclette, or your fondue rather, I keep calling it raclette. Yeah, I meant fondue recipes, not raclette recipes. Raclette is the cheese. It will make your fondue a little bit thin, but then it will evaporate. So you can't have too much water, which feels really great to me because, again, I've never done this before. Okay, so I'm just like mixing our water, and our fondue together, and it's going a little crazy. But we're just gonna heat that up and get it going. And then we'll have both of our things melting that we need to melt.
I'm doing the same, and my double boiler is going well.
How's your
This wax is
doing?
melting right down here.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Okay, so while our things are melting, why don't we talk about our wine a little bit? We can nerd out for a second. Because y'all who got the kit got this. I'm looking at the lights. They're funny colors. Everyone who got the kit, you got a bottle of what we're sipping on here. So hopefully you're sipping on this at home. It's just so much easier to make things when you're drinking. But this is Macon Village. So Nicolas Potel is the producer. Macon Village is white Burgundy from the Mâconnais region of France, which is just on the outskirts of Burgundy. But the soil types are really similar in both regions. So they're both like chalky and limestone, which just makes this particular wine like a great value, a great bang for your buck. Has like a little bit of oak, which is really great for body and texture, but isn't super overpowering. So that will go really, really, really well with some like rich, melty cheese and delicious smelling candles. And then let's talk about our snacks really quickly. Before I do that though, I do want to say you want to keep stirring your fondue so that you don't scald it, because nobody wants like hot scalded cheese, because then it wouldn't taste very good. So keep a stir on your fondue so that it doesn't get crusty and scalded. But okay, so the snacks we sent in your kit as well. You have some Macrina bread, just obviously from Macrina Bakery. We cut ours up into little cubes to dip. You can rip your bread, you can chop it up, you can make tiny little fondue croutons, you can do whatever you want with your bread. We cut them into some cubey shapes to dip. We sent you some capicola. So this is from the pork shoulder, and this capicola is from Olympic Provisions, which is down in Portland. So we sourced that from our friends there. Should be very tasty.
Yeah.
Our pickles here are from the Canlis Research Kitchen, just up north.
They're Johnny's pickles from the pickle class.
Yeah, they're Johnny's pickles from the pickles class. Okay, guys,
if you're part of the pickle class.
It's full circle here.
We're trying to bring it all the way around.
It's full circle at the community college.
Yes.
We're using our own resources. So Johnny's pickles, we sent you some of those, and then of course some mustard, just to go along with everything. So, okay, I'm turning my guy down because my fondue is it's going crazy. It's like ready to go, and I'm not ready yet. So, how's our wax doing?
Yeah, wax is melting really well as well. This induction burner works extremely well.
Awesome.
And so the other item you're going to want to have prepared is going to be this candy thermometer, and you're going to want to probably temp this every couple of minutes after it starts to get melted. What you want to make sure you don't do is let this tip touch the sides of the pot. You're going to get a false reading as to what the heat is. You want it just to be in the center of the wax, and then you're going to want to kind of stir the wax around it so you're getting a really good reading. Now, these candy thermometers do take about a minute to go ahead and get the good reading from them, so you're going to want to hold it in there for a little bit. But once you've had it in there and the blue line has stopped moving, then you know about what temperature your wax is at. It looks like my wax is pretty close to 150 right now. So,
What's our goal? What's our temp goal?
Yeah, so between 165 to 185, you can mix fragrance in this wax. 175 is the temperature you're really looking for.
Oh, okay. So we got a little ways to go still.
Yep, got a little ways to go before we add fragrance on ours.
Okay, that's great. if some people are at 175,
Yes.
they can go ahead and add their fragrance.
Yeah, turn your heat down if you're at 175. Keep it stirring, and you are at that point in time ready to add your fragrance.
Yeah. We're asking you to stir a lot here, so hopefully you have a couple hands, because there's a lot of stirring and a lot of heat happening. Okay, but we have a little ways to go.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask about what it's like to be a Pike Place Market person. Yeah. We're going on a field trip there tomorrow, which is crazy. So community college has a field trip organized for the market tomorrow. And you guys work in the market. So what is it like? Because people in Seattle, if you're locals, you like kind of don't go to the market, which is sort of weird. What is it like to be there?
Yeah, and so, that's a great question. We have retailed out of Pike Place Market for the last couple of years, and I can tell you, as someone who was born and raised in Seattle myself, that my mom and my grandma took me to Pike Place Market when I was younger. My grandma used to actually buy all of her produce from there. But as I got older and Pike Place Market started getting more crowded, is something I didn't really go to as a destination for myself, but would bring friends to if they came and visited or something like that.
It's like a destination, for sure,
yeah.
that you bring people to.
But right now is the perfect time to go as a local, because there's room to move around. There's elbow room there right now. You aren't crowded as you walk through the market.
Everything's
Perfect
outdoor.
Grocery store. I mean, literally, it was like made.
What'd you say?
For this. It's the perfect outdoor grocery store.
Yeah.
Perfect outdoor
you don't have
grocery
any
store.
cruise ships, unfortunately, so our tourists are gone.
Yeah.
It's prime Seattle market season. That's what you're saying.
Yep, everything is still there. Everybody's wearing masks, practicing social distancing, and it's open air, so it's about as safe as you can be. And you have all the crafters there doing their thing. You have all the farmers there doing their thing. And I think this is the perfect time, especially with the holidays coming up, to go and check it out.
Yeah. Didn't you have they had some fun facts about Pike Place, like everything on your table you have to make as the person selling it. Is that right?
Yep. So that is one of the tenets of the market, the public market.
That's
there.
So cool.
And that is everything that you have on a crafter's table, they actually have to make themselves.
Yeah.
So all those crafters, they're not importing these things. They're not buying them bulk and repackaging for you. They're actually handling every item. They're creating every item. They're making it themselves. It's made with love. And, you just really can't find a lot of markets around that presents that type of opportunity.
There are also attendance requirements too. So not only, for example, Jeremiah or I make everything on the table, we're required to be there. So we're not, we're not just making the candles and, then having someone else
having
sell them
a random person sell them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll sit at the table. I will sell the candles. Jeremiah will sell the candles. We pack the cart, push the cart, pick the spots.
Do they make you sign like a crazy document to?
There is definitely an orientation process, and there's a lot of because it's not the same type of circumstance you're going to run into at your typical market or or fair or something like that, where you can basically sell whatever you want as long as you've gotten the permit and the spot.
Yeah. How's our wax doing over there?
Yeah, my wax is getting really close right now. I probably could be there within the next few minutes.
Ooh.
I'm not sure where the rest, but I could also slow ours down depending on.
How are the people of
where the people
class
are at.
doing?
I'm checking the chat right now. So we have a couple of questions about just some people are ahead of us. So if you're ready to put the fragrance in.
You want to talk about putting the fragrance in?
Well, yeah, and then also just in terms of fragrance would be awesome. Talk a little bit about fragrance and sort of, do you have to do it? How much do you do it?
Right.
Advantages, pros and cons.
And for people who have the kit and then people who don't have the kit.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. So the fragrance we have here, like I said, is grapefruit and mint. It's a safe scent from Candle Science, infused with essential oils. There's mandarin, there's orange, bergamot, buchu leaves in this fragrance right here, and. Couple of the keys with fragrance is you're going to want to know what type of load that your wax can take. And this particular wax can take 7 to 9% of fragrance. So if you have 16 ounces of fragrance, for each fragrance, usually if you're buying it from a fragrance purveyor, they'll let you know what kind of load, but also the wax will determine what kind of load you can take as well. And this particular soy wax can take about 7 to 9%. So if you are at 16 ounces of wax, you can put approximately 1 ounce of fragrance into that. Not that it's going to be terrible if you put too much in there, because it will still work, but it's just going to probably weep out as it cures at the end, and you'll just have to wipe the top off.
Oh, wow.
And then, as we spoke about, you also don't have to put any fragrance in there. You can do it with no fragrance. We do make candles that have no fragrance in them. And then essential oils will also work. So if you have your own essential oils at home and want to add those, the only thing I would say with some essential oils are not necessarily synthesized for burning. So the smell that you get from the essential oil, when you smell it, might not be the same smell.
It's burned essential oil, you're saying?
It'll be, it may
That's not
smell.
the smell that I'm looking for, you're saying?
Well, it could be the smell that you're looking for and you're fine with, but it won't necessarily smell the same as what it smells like in the jar.
Cool.
It'll probably smell different when it's being burned in the candle. Now, some essential oils are definitely prepared for that, and like I said, this is infused with essential oils.
So what do you look for if you're at the store buying essential oils that you know you want to put into a candle? Is there a particular thing to look for so that you know it won't get that burned scent?
So yes, as far as that goes, you're actually going to look to the actual maker of the oil, and they'll usually say this is good for making candles with.
Great.
And
Easy enough.
they prepared it for that. Yes.
Cool. Okay. So they've thought of it. They've thought of everything.
And some of them are, better for putting on directly on your skin, and whatever else you plan to do with it, and maybe not made specifically for that. Not to say you couldn't put it in there though.
Okay.
It just wouldn't smell the same.
Yeah. So if some people are ready for fragrance, if their wax is at 175, you can just dump it right into the melted
So that's
pot?
a great question. So I wouldn't dump it straight in there. I would pour it slowly and stir as you pour it.
Okay.
Because you want it to be mixed well with the wax. Another thing is when you're stirring, stir slowly, because particularly when you're about to pour it, air bubbles can develop, and it can create little artifacts in your candles.
Oh, little treasures.
Yeah, just candle might not look as good.
Okay.
Little imperfections, wouldn't be as
small
smooth, things
okay.
like that. So yeah, you're going to want to stir it thoroughly as you do it. And let me just make sure mine's up to temp actually before I dump mine in.
Oh gosh, my fondue is bubbling, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit.
So Jeremiah, we're getting a few people who are up to temp.
All right,
And,
let's do it.
and
All right.
they're
And I
approaching
think
that.
just want to make sure I'm there too. I did turn mine down a little bit. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So we are up to temp. We're ready to put our fragrance in. Let's do it. Pouring slowly. Stirring it nice and evenly.
And these bottles are 1 ounce bottles. They do hold about 1.2 ounces when they're poured to max. So you don't necessarily have to put 100% of the fragrance in there,
But you can
but
if
pretty
you want.
close. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can if you want.
Okay, cool.
Some people like a more subtle candle. Some people like one that smells a little stronger.
You're sensitive to scents or whatnot, so good to know it's totally optional if you like. Okay, so our scent is in there. So now we're gonna start cooling?
Yeah. So once you've
As
mixed
if
it,
I know what I'm talking about?
yeah. So once you've mixed it, you actually want to mix for probably at least 1 minute, closer to 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you want to make sure that fragrance is completely incorporated with the wax, or you're going to have some dead spots throughout your candle.
Okay, so those are just like holes that happen.
So as you melt the candle, you're just going to have a spot where you don't smell anything.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you want to make sure the fragrance gets completely mixed throughout
I
the
see what
wax
you mean
and
by dead
completely
spot.
incorporated. Otherwise, yeah, you'll get some spots in the candle that will smell like nothing.
Yeah.
Some questions about taking it off heat.
Once you've mixed the fragrance in, you can completely turn the heat off.
Okay.
And then repeat the temperature for adding the oils, please.
You want it to be at least 165, preferably 175 for adding the oil.
And then
It could be as high as 185.
once they start to cool, we're looking for a particular temperature once we've cooled. Is that right?
Correct. And in fact, you can go ahead and take it right off your pot so the steam from the double boiler isn't continuing to heat it. Let it cool to the side because...
Do you want a little guy here?
Yeah, sure, thank you.
Yeah, a little trivet.
And if you happen to have an extra pot to put it in that's not hot, you can actually cool it faster
Oh.
by pouring it into a different container. And
That's
that
a
will,
great tip.
And that will cool it down faster.
Yeah.
Before you actually pour it into the candle itself, you're going to want it to be at around 135 degrees.
Okay, so it's got a little cooling to do. And my fondue feels like it's also kind of ready to start to cool.
And while it's cooling, that would be the time that we would start prepping the candle containers.
All right, how do we do that?
Yeah. Let me get my wine glass out of the way. Hold on.
We need to sip. We need to do the sipping part of the class.
Yeah, we're missing out on the sipping part.
And when it comes to the double dipping, do not dip your bread in the wax. Or
I mean, so it is safe. It is safe to
we're
eat.
double dipping. Like
It is.
it is safe to
It
eat.
is safe to eat, but it's just not going to taste as good.
We'd be dipping, but really we're pouring.
Yeah, we're
We could have
pouring
done it.
candles. We're not dipping candles.
But could you, if you wanted to, like my kids, like we've made candles at home,
Right.
and thanks for that note about beeswax, because man, we've made such a mess with all of our pots with beeswax. But could you dip a wick in the, if we were really patient, would
Can you dip
that
soy
work, or is that?
Absolutely. If
That
you want
would
to
work.
stick the wick to the bottom of your container using the wax, 100%. It's not as easy as the little stickers we sent.
All right.
That's more of a pro move.
But if I was just to hold a wick and slowly lower it into the pot and raise it up, that wouldn't make a candle.
No.
No.
Okay.
Well, you could eventually make a pillar candle. It wouldn't work with soy wax as well. You'd probably want to blend that with some paraffin because soy wax is a little soft.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
But some candle makers, in order to affix their wick to the tumbler, will dip it, let it
Ooh.
cool a little bit, and then
Just-
stick it right to the bottom. And
right.
that's a fine way to do it too, and you can avoid the sticker.
All right.
Got it. Okay.
But we're gonna prep our. Should we prep our containers to get ready to pour?
Yep. It's
Okay.
it's one of the easiest parts of the event here.
Wow.
You pull your sticker off of the little sheet. You stick it to the bottom of the wick
Makes
base.
sense.
Peel the second part off and put it straight to the bottom in the center of your container.
Cool.
And then repeat with the
Repeat.
second one.
Do it again.
This is really easy, folks.
Yeah.
Anyone can do it,
Anyone can do it.
which is why I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's great. No, it's so fun that anyone can do it.
Yes.
It's such like a great activity that I didn't really consider before this as something you can do. And it really, I don't know if everybody added the fragrance. It smells really, really
It
good.
smells
And
so good in here.
I'm sensitive to candle fragrance. I typically prefer kind of a non-scented, but this smells really, really.
So you,
I was
one
gonna say
question
delicious,
About, so
but-
believe it or not, somebody bought 3 kits or 4 kits in here, and they're wondering if they made a huge candle, would it work? And I see your note about. But can we just talk about? You said something interesting earlier, just around how to get a candle. The amount of wicks, I can't remember, but like to get the first time you burn a candle, you said make
Candle
sure-
memory.
Candle memory. Talk about wicks and candle memory. I thought that was so fascinating.
Yeah.
All right. I actually brought a kind of a demonstration candle. I'm not sure. I'll kind of give it a close up here so you can see. And you can see here that this candle, as it melted, has gotten almost all the way to the outside edge. Now, that is not quite what you want to do. You want the first melt to be all the way to the outside edge. And what I mean by that is the temptation is to light your candle when you first get it home and just give it a little smell and then put it out because you want to save it or you spent a lot of money on it or it was a special gift. The very first burn is so important. The very first burn, the melt needs to go all the way to the outside edges. Or what's going to end up happening is your candle is going to tunnel.
It remembers
'cause
how
soy
little
wax
time
has a
you
memory.
gave it.
Yes.
That's
You
crazy.
need
And-
to treat your candle right.
Yeah, they have feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to remember that you didn't let it go all the way to the edges. It's just going to
gonna
keep
be
on repeating that
mad at
process.
you and it's gonna
Never
burrow
go back to
down.
the edges if you don't do it the first time.
Yes.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it'll never fully burn all the way to the edge if you don't.
Well, sometimes it could, depending on the circumstances, but a lot of the times you are going to lose that outside bit of wax.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Great
But someone
tip.
was asking about making a giant candle,
Yeah.
and wick thickness will really determine like the way that a candle burns. So if you have a really big candle, you need like a thicker wick to be able to burn more of a diameter. So I told the person who wants to make a ginormous candle, I can't guarantee how it will burn. It might have some wax on the sides, but if you have a bigger container, you need to put multiple wicks
Multiple
in
wicks
it
in there.
so that it burns evenly.
Multiple wicks.
This wick is a CD18, and it was chosen specifically for the diameter of the container that we're using.
Oh, fancy.
Now, usually when you go online and buy wicks or go to your candle maker and buy wicks, they'll have a chart and they'll say if you're using this container, this wick or that wick will work. But a lot of the times, if you're using an off container or your own container, you might need to experiment a little bit before you find the exact right wick to work with your wax in your container.
What kind of container can you make a candle in? Anything?
Obviously, anything that's not going to burn. Yeah, we've put it in a lot of things. Like if you put it in a paper container, that might
Well, yeah, that would
end
be
up
a
getting a
bad
little
idea for a candle.
paper mache. But
your glass can be, I mean, all sorts of shapes or
ceramic glass. In fact, I believe, let me just pop off for a second here.
This needs to be
We
flat,
went to
I
our
think, on the bottom.
Yep.
thrifts,
Oh,
our
this
local
heat.
thrift store, and picked
you
out
this.
a couple of
Ooh, pretty.
items that we have used to make candles before. And the only caution I would say is some of these are going to be crystal, and crystal responds to high heat a lot different than glass. So be careful that you're not pouring your wax in too hot into crystal. It'll just snap right in half on you.
Shoot. Okay, so you really want it to cool down.
You want to cool to 135 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with fondue, you just kind of let it get hot and then you eat it. So ours is pretty good. I don't know if I want like dripping
similar
cheese
recipe over there,
all
yeah.
over my face while I'm on the show, but I learned today though, if you don't finish all your fondue in this class, or if you don't want to eat it all tonight, you can put it back in your container and put it back in the fridge and then reheat it, and it will be totally fine. So it will last you for a little bit if you don't feel like totally downing a pound of cheese like I do.
Yeah, I usually feel like
I'm gonna
like that.
test it out though. I'm gonna make sure our fondue is good.
My temperature's at 150 right now, so I'm probably going to need another few minutes before I pour this here.
Some people are a little bit ahead of you, so
Yeah.
maybe could you talk about where their candle container should be and, get in the position to pour?
Yeah.
Some people are ready to pour.
If you are ready to pour, go ahead and definitely get your containers close to you because you don't want to be spilling wax everywhere. Like I said, we have a little towel here to handle, but I also brought an idea.
It is good.
For another item you can use to pour if you have a little metal pitcher at home.
That's
or
a good idea.
Yeah, it may make it easier for you to pour, but I'm going to go ahead and pour it straight from this bowl once it's cool enough. But yes, get them close to you, and that's basically it. Just be careful. Don't spill on
Yeah.
yourself. Don't burn yourself.
Don't burn yourself.
And you
Yeah.
won't be able to move your candle when it's like super warm.
Right.
So pick
That's
a good place.
suggestion. Yeah. You should make sure your surface is protected, right? Because you won't be able to grab the hot votive and move it once the wax is poured.
Good point. These candles are going to be hot once you pour the wax into them, and so you're going to want to basically have them where you want them to be, which brings me to another note, cooling. Cooling a candle, you're going to want them to cool evenly. You're going to want them to cool at room temperature, not in a room that's too cold or too hot. And you're going to want them to be a few inches apart so their heat does not affect each other as they cool.
Oh, that's a good tip. Gosh, I would never even think of any of these things.
In
Here,
fact,
I'm
some
gonna share
people
my
will.
fondue with you.
Oh, nice. I was
Just so
hoping
I'm
that would
not-
I was hoping that would happen.
Hoarding it over here. But
And
don't
another-
pour it into your candle.
Another fun tip could be to, if you happen to have bakery cooling sheets, and to elevate these off of the countertop, that actually can improve the way your candle cools as well. Candle cooling is one of the most important things to remove imperfections from your candles,
How?
or keep them from happening.
Tell me more.
So you want it to cool evenly and you want it to cool slowly. When you pour it into the container, you want to pour it slowly so it doesn't have air bubbles. When you stir it, you want to stir it slowly so it doesn't have air bubbles. And then you want to move it as little as possible. You want to keep it away from drafts.
It's a gentle substance.
yes.
It's like needs care and love. It
Yeah.
sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, lots of love.
Yeah.
Lots of love.
Yeah,
And I
get
did-
to
yeah, I was
dip
saying,
in.
how do we do
Get
this
to
here?
double dip in. Just, I've never had fondue before. It's very delicious. Yeah, this is my first time eating fondue my entire life.
Oh, wow.
I've gone this long, and I won't go back.
Really
It's good. It's super delicious. It's also so easy. How fun to have like a little melty treat.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to add some meat to mine on
Yeah,
this one
get
here.
in there. So some people might be pouring their candles, letting them set and get ready while we wait, because we're still waiting for our wax to cool a little bit. Is that right?
Our wax needs another couple of minutes.
Okay. I know you brought some fun
Yeah.
tools that I was wondering if you wanted to show people. But feel free to dip and eat. But you
No,
brought
tools
some,
are way more fun than
you
eating.
brought some cool things I'd never seen before that
Yeah. Let's talk about them.
yeah, that I thought were really interesting.
All right, so these are two of my favorite tools. This here is a wick dipper, and this is a wick trimmer. I don't know what the best camera is to show these. The overhead camera is probably getting them right now. So wick trimmer,
They're also very
wick dipper.
very beautiful.
This I use multiple times a day, and I'll tell you why in a minute. This I use every once in a while, maybe once a day. Very important as well. So, wick dipper, and we're going to go ahead and ignore the fact that I haven't allowed this melt pool to completely get to the edge because I need to do this for demonstration purposes.
remember.
It's going to remember. It's not going to like me for it.
It's okay.
Thank you. All right,
Thank you
so
for your time, Kendall.
so the wick dipper you're going to want to use to take the wick, you're going to put it right behind it in the melt pool, and then you're going to want to push it down.
Woo.
You see how that extinguishes with no smoke? Have you guys ever seen a candle extinguish with zero smoke coming out of it? If you have, you've probably used a wick dipper. And then the other benefit to it is when you pull it out, it's recoated with wax again, so when you relight it, you're going to get a lot less smokiness when it relights.
It's so cool.
Less smoke, more candle, more fragrance.
Can we buy those from you at your stand at Pike Place?
No, because we
We
don't,
don't make
them.
these ourselves.
Oh, it's
You
coming
can buy it
soon.
from SeattleCandleCompany.com
They're on our website.
on our website.
There you go. All right, there you go.
They feel like a very artisanal, like ancient tool.
I feel like they are. I
Right?
don't know
They're, like,
exactly where they
so
originate
simple
from, but
and
it's just yeah,
beautiful.
exactly.
I feel like everyone should have one. Anyway.
And this is my other favorite tool, and I'm going to kind of show you what we do with this. So, with a candle wick, when you burn it, when you have it, you're going to want it to be essentially as short as possible because you want it to be as close as possible to the candle, so it creates a bigger melt pool faster. The longer the wick, it's going to suck more fuel up in there that you're not going to use. It's going to start smoking. If you see your wick smoking, it's probably because it's too long.
Oh.
And you're going to want to trim that wick down to be approximately 1/3 of an inch. It's not always the exact same depending on the candle, but approximately 1/3 of an inch above the level of the wax. Now, what you will always see happen when you have been burning a candle is that they will develop these little black heads on top of them, these little bulbs on top of them, and this also will suck up fuel and cause your candle to smoke. Now, before you relight your candle, you're going to want to get rid of that. Because you're going to want to not have that smokiness, or I don't want to have that smokiness. And what I love about these trimmers, because obviously you can do that with a pair of scissors,
Sure.
fingernail clippers. What I love about these trimmers, though, is it keeps all the dirty stuff out of my candle. When I trim it, I get to take it with me,
Oh, because it's like a little
and it stays so pretty.
it's a little dish in the
Yep, it has a
bottom.
little dish in it, and the candle stays so pretty. Another benefit to this, when you have a tall candle like this, scissors aren't going to get down in there. Fingernail
No
clippers aren't going to
way.
get down in there. But this will get down there and it will trim that wick.
Super cool. Trim that wick. I love it. It's awesome.
Wick trimmers, wick dippers.
Wick trimmers, wick
Necessary
wick
for
dippers.
every candle aficionado.
Tongue tie after you've sipped.
Yes, I'm not
Wick
saying that
trimmer,
again.
wick dipper. Little.
I'm probably pretty close to my temp now, actually.
You ready to pour some candles?
I think so.
I'm excited.
Let me just double check it. It's going to take a minute here. In the meantime, let me get this out of the
Oh
way.
yeah, we have a couple of our prototype candles here.
Oh yeah, we're looking good.
Cool.
We're looking good.
All right. So when do the chopsticks come in?
Chopsticks
Really
will come in
been curious.
immediately.
Immediately.
After I get done pouring these candles, because you don't want the wax to cool with the wicks at angles. You want them to be straight in the center, and that's where the chopsticks are going to come in for.
All right.
I can
Wait,
handle my
so do
bowl.
we need the chopsticks now or no?
Oh, I would put it. Sorry, when I said immediately, I mean immediately after I pour the wax.
Okay. was like, wait a second.
Well, you could put it
You're
on there
the
now, but then
expert.
you're going to be pouring around.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
You're going to
That's
be pouring
weird.
around,
Yeah.
and it's in the way.
That wouldn't work. All right.
So, my bowl is cool enough, but for safety's sake, you probably should make sure.
Ooh. Just kind of go up to the height you want.
I'm going to kind of do 50-50, so
Yeah.
I'm going to start. I'm probably covering it so no one can see it. I'm going to start pouring about 2/3 of the way up, just so I can make sure I can even them out, so I have
Yeah.
2 even candles.
It's really yellow. Is that from the fragrance, or?
So when soy wax,
that's the color of soy wax.
yep, soy wax melts is going to be quite yellow.
When you probably don't like shop for candles yourself because you make them, but
We actually still do.
You
We
do?
love candles. Yeah.
so what makes like a candle better than another, like a more quality candle than another candle, or like a more expensive candle as a cheaper candle? There seems to be quite a range.
Yeah, so ingredients are going to be probably the primary reason why a candle is going to cost a lot, and we use the best soy wax you can get. We use the best fragrances you can get, the best wicks, and then a lot of times after that, you're going to be probably paying for packaging, the way the container looks, the way the label is, and proprietary scents that scents you can't get anywhere else.
Okay.
And we have a few of those too.
You do?
Yes.
What are your proprietary scents?
Our favorite proprietary scent is going to be our #1 scent, which you'll find on our website and at Pike Place Market. It's kind of a Pacific Northwest blend. It has cedar, it has pine, and a little bit of secret sauce.
Okay. So mainly, you want to make sure the ingredients in your candle are high quality, and otherwise it's sort of like the glass or the packaging that you end up kind of shucking a lot of money out for.
Yeah, I mean, so if I take an item like this that I,
Yeah.
pay whatever amount for, if I bought it from a thrift store, maybe it's a little less. If I bought it retail, maybe it's a little more. And then I had to resell this, that's going to increase the cost of the candle that
Yeah.
I'm going to sell. But this is a little more simpler of a tumbler. It can come probably more in the medium range as far as the
Yeah.
price.
Cool.
You can find candles. So this is an 8-ounce candle, and for us, that means it's going to burn about 80 hours. You can find candles that will burn. That will be the same size. That will burn a lot faster. If a candle is made from certain types of wax or wax blends, you may have a candle this size will last 15 hours or 20 hours. So that's going to be an important factor as well.
It's
so
how long you want. Yeah.
you're like, why am I
candle to
paying
burn.
$12 for this candle and $20 for this one, and they're the same size?
Yeah.
Well, one probably lasts longer, or you're going to have some other elements in there, like as far as the vessel it's in, or as far as the fragrance that's in there. There are some fragrances also that will cost quite a bit more than other fragrances.
Like the more proprietary.
Well, those, and then there's some
secret-
ingredients
secret
that are
sauce?
quite expensive as well
Yeah.
too. But for the most part, the fragrances will come in a relatively similar price range.
Let's see. All right.
And we're like really, we love Seattle. We love supporting local businesses in our personal lives, but also in our business lives. So the packaging, we have like our boxes that our candles come in are custom cut and printed in
Wow.
Kent. All of our labels are printed by a label maker in Capitol Hill.
Yeah, your labels are so beautiful.
A lot of our fragrances we try to source from a company within the Pacific Northwest. So
Cool. That's awesome. What about your stamp? I love stamps, so I just wanted to know where'd you get your little stamp?
These here?
Yeah.
So these are printed on, actually.
Oh, they're just printed on
Yep,
your box.
they're printed on the box
I assume
by-
everyone stamps the thousands of boxes that we stamp
This.
every day. Yeah, Brian did too.
This is our stamp, and
Oh,
that
okay.
is
I stamped that.
Yes.
I
Kaylee
stamped
herself
all
stamped
those.
this
I
one right
love
here.
that.
Yes.
So
That
good.
is an actual stamp, and the designs all came from my wife is the brainchild of the way these look. They
So
look
all
good
the
because of her.
design you came up with?
I didn't actually design it. I found an expert.
She worked with them very closely.
Roll
though.
out what I wanted.
Okay, cool.
They could bring her dream into life.
Actual fruition.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
know.
so
Did
our
everybody catch
candles-
how I put those. Everybody okay with putting the wick holders on and
Everyone's
catch how
good
I
with
did
the
that
wicks?
without? Okay, awesome.
People are
Okay.
kind of getting it. Yeah, they're paying attention.
They're catching on.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. A few first-time candle makers. There's a lot of that. A few questions about like where the best place to get, ingredients are, wax. You guys have favorite go-to spots for the common person who can't order this stuff wholesale?
Like for wicks and stuff
Yeah,
like
if they want to just keep doing this.
Yeah, so there's a great little company called up in Bellingham called Brambleberry. They're one of our favorites. We get a ton from Brambleberry. We love their fragrances. They make very good, clean fragrances. We love their products. They have something I should tell you about our wicks. Our wicks are also carcinogen free. You have sometimes wicks that'll have a core that have metals in them, and that usually is to give it rigidity and to allow it to burn more steadily and evenly. In order to avoid that, we have cotton, and they've added paper to add rigidity to it. So this has craft paper in there, and you'll be able to get these wicks from Brambleberry. And Candle Science is another. They're an online company. That we frequent quite often as well. Candle Science is a great company. They make clean scents as well. Go on their website. They have those charts I spoke about of what wick goes well with what container. Highly recommend their website for that type of information.
Awesome. Cool. So now that our candles have poured.
Voila, yeah, these are the candles.
And we just let them live like this for how long?
In order for the scent to develop properly, you're going to want these to cool and then cure for 2 to 3 days. And so I would say over 48 hours, but you don't necessarily have to let it go all the way to the 72, but over 48 hours. Otherwise, you're going to get a scent that's quite a bit more muted than you probably were expecting.
Awesome. And then once they kind of set, that's when you clip the wick to the proper height.
Right, exactly. So one of the dangers of not letting it quite set is that when you snip the wick, it's going to create like a little hole around the wick because the candle was too soft.
Oh.
Let it really cool and harden before you clip that wick. I would say give it at least 24 hours before you even clip the wick.
Cool. All right. Well, we've melted wax. We've melted cheese. I feel good. How do you feel?
I feel good too.
Cool.
I'm ready to, yeah.
Do
I'm
we want to
enjoying the
just
wine, enjoying the
answer
cheese.
if there's a couple questions that we could open up to like a quick Q&A before we say goodnight? If anyone's curious about stuff.
Yeah, do you have any of that?
You
A couple
have
of
any?
questions about how to clean up after beeswax or a mix when you're mixing. Do you have any tricks around that? Also, tricks for getting wax out of your clothing.
Uh-oh.
We get it out of tablecloths a lot.
Yeah.
You guys could go that direction.
So, the bad news is wax is an oil. It's an oil product. Wax is what's left over after you refine oil. So when you refine soybean oil, you're going to get this leftover product, which is going to be the wax we use here. And as an oil product, if you get it in your clothes, it's going to a lot of times leave a little stain. And it's very hard to get out. In fact, I have a lot of stain work clothes with oil. So I would avoid getting it on your clothes.
I have a tip if you do. I'm sure all my server people out there have, from being a server and cleaning out candles that splatter all over you. If you take your item of clothing and put a paper towel over it and then an iron, you'll melt the wax onto the paper towel instead of on your clothes.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a really handy tip when you're wearing like a black uniform and you get wax all over it. Just put a paper towel on there.
From experience.
Yeah, from experience. And then iron over it with a hot iron, it'll get the wax out. So I'm not sure exactly if soy wax will react the same way, but
Hopefully, I'm gonna probably go try that.
give it
Try
a
that on my
shot.
clothes.
Give
that
it
I
a shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on my work clothes. And then actually cleaning off a surface is a lot easier. Soy wax is gonna clean up with soap and water and an alcohol-based cleaner. And beeswax is a lot tougher. I can tell you that when I have worked with beeswax, I've started with scraping it if it's on a surface, and then I've went to an alcohol-based cleaner. But I can tell you that it is a tough nut to crack. Sometimes.
good luck.
I've got two other things.
Yes.
People I think we painted candles to be really like temperamental and sensitive.
Oh, and gentle creatures.
So I think
Sorry.
that there's some
That's my
questions
fault.
about. No, we did it too. When can they get moved? Do the wicks have to be absolutely straight? Can you adjust where you put them?
Great. So while it's still hot, I would say you can move it to wherever you want. You're probably going to want to handle it with the towel because it's going to be the 140 degrees or whatever you pour it in there. But once it started to cool, you're not going to want to move it anymore, because once you start to get that film on the top and you move it around, it's going to create those imperfections on the top of the candle that you probably don't want. So I could probably take this guy right now and take him and move him to where I want him to finally cool at. Let's say,
and
probably
then
put
he'll
it.
still.
Yeah.
This is that moment when you spill so much wax on your like favorite suede shoes or something, right?
Yes,
like,
be very.
I'm like
and
nervous
then,
watching you do that.
yeah, exactly.
You crushed it though. Crushed it. Not
Sometimes
your
I
first
don't. Sometimes I definitely spill it on my shoes. And then, as you see, as I moved it, I knocked this this wick crooked. You can definitely go ahead and straighten that wick back out, as long as your wax is still hot. If it is started to cool, I would recommend that you don't mess with it. However, there are things you can do to fix it once it is cooled. And if you see there's some things in there that you don't like, I use a heat gun. I know people that use hair dryers on their highest setting, and you can just melt the top of the candle a little bit.
Kind of blowtorch it a little bit.
Yep, exactly. And then you can even take these wicks. Let's say your wick was way over here when it cooled. You can take that, you can pull it all the way over, use your thumb to kind of pack that little divot in that you created, that little pathway, and then melt that back over the top, and your candle's gonna be fine. Because once it starts to melt, it's gonna heat up the whole candle, and that wax will fill back in those voids as you heat it up.
Cool. Awesome.
People are wondering, when you get to the end of your candle, it's super easy to clean. Like, what's the best way to maybe clean out the container that you're using for a candle?
Yeah, soap and water really works really well. A little bit of heat. In fact, a hair dryer is another thing. Heat will get most of it out of there.
Or real hot water, like really.
Hot water's the best, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, hot water's the best, absolutely. In fact, a lot of it will come out just by spraying it down with hot water.
Cool.
Rinsing it out with hot water. Or even you could use, probably even use the water left over from
Yeah, from your
you
double
clean up
boiler.
to clean up your
Yeah.
mess.
Jeremiah,
Nice and
we're
simple.
coming from a dad jokes and magic
Okay.
class. I happen to know that you're a new dad. Is that right?
That's correct.
Congratulations.
Thank
By
you.
the way, I mean, both of you. I'm congratulating both of you. I'm sorry, but you don't have any dad jokes for us just to finish out the show. But
Oh, you have so many.
Uh-oh.
Like, thank
I didn't
God.
put you on the spot.
Thank
No.
God
Tell
he has
dad
a
jokes.
baby, because now there's an excuse for his jokes.
Exactly.
Like,
That is another audience member too.
Oh man, my jokes come off the top of my head.
right.
They're the cringiest ones you can imagine. I'm not sure that I have any right now.
That means you're prepared for.
I know that whenever someone steps on my feet and apologizes for it, I say it's okay. I walk on them too.
Oh, well played.
See?
That
See?
happens in restaurants all the time. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god.
Maren, I feel the same way.
So dorky. Oh my god.
It's amazing.
Okay, I think we can wrap it up. We've made candles, made fondue. Enjoy your chill evening, sipping and dipping. And thank you. We had so much fun melting things with you tonight. Oh, we'll see you tomorrow at Pike Place Market, where y'all better say hello to Jeremiah and Kaylee.
And Wine Fight Club.
Oh, and White Fight Club tomorrow. There's more classes, but this is the important one. So, yeah, so fun.
Thank you
Have a
guys.
good night.
Thanks to
Thank
Candace for
you.
hosting this. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it. See us at Pike Place Market. Everybody wants to see you there.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
Night.